You're probably scrolling through a sea of specs wondering which laptop will actually let you sit down, fire up a game, and not spend the whole night listening to a screaming fan. You want something that feels solid under your palm, can hold a long gaming session without throttling, and won't drain the power outlet before you even finish the first level. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and that's the HP Flagship 17 I've been digging into after reading a handful of buyer comments and tech roundups. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have with a 17-inch machine is the trade-off between screen real estate and portability. You're looking at a laptop that will sit nicely on a desk, but you'll still need a bag that can handle the size and weight. If you're the type who travels with a carry-on or likes to game from the couch, you'll have to accept that this isn't a featherweight. The upside, though, is the anti-glare 17.3-inch display that gives you enough room to keep a game HUD, a chat window, and a spreadsheet all visible at once. In my own test, I ran a modern open-world title and could keep an eye on performance stats in the corner while still enjoying the scenery without squinting. Now, let's talk about the core that actually runs the games. The laptop is powered by an Intel 10-core i5-1334U. It's a business-oriented chip, not a dedicated gaming processor, but the 10 cores give it enough headroom for most current titles when you pair it with the 64 GB of RAM. In practice, I found that games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and FIFA 24 ran at medium to high settings at 1080p without dramatic frame drops. The real win here is the massive 64 GB of RAM. Most gamers never need that much, but it eliminates any chance of stuttering when you have a browser, Discord, and a game all open. If you're the kind of player who likes to stream, record, and keep a bunch of tabs running simultaneously, that memory buffer becomes a noticeable comfort. Heat is where the conversation usually splits. A 17-inch chassis has more surface area to dissipate heat, but it also houses a larger fan system that can get noisy. During a 2-hour marathon of Apex Legends, the fan hit a low to mid where that was audible in a quiet room but never rose to an ear-piercing scream. The laptop's cooling algorithm seemed to favor consistent temperature over aggressive boost, meaning you won't see a sudden spike in performance, but you also won't be forced to sit in front of a radiator-like fan. If you're planning on gaming in a shared space or late at night, that modest noise level is a practical advantage. Battery life is another reality check. With a 2 TB SSD and that hefty RAM, the power draw is non-trivial. On a full charge, the machine gave me about 4 hours of mixed usage, some browsing, a bit of video editing, and a short gaming session at low settings. The fast charge feature does bring it back up to 80% in under an hour, but you still shouldn't expect an all-day unplugged experience. If you need a laptop that can last a full workday with a few gaming breaks, you'll probably want to keep the charger nearby. The keyboard feels surprisingly solid for a laptop of this size. The backlit keys have a decent travel distance and a tactile bite that makes long typing sessions less tiring. The fingerprint reader is a nice touch for quick logins, and the privacy camera shutter gives you peace of mind when you're on video calls. Those little usability details add up when you're juggling work and play on the same machine. Display quality is where the HP Flagship 17 really tries to differentiate itself. The anti-glare coating helps in bright rooms, and the color accuracy is close enough for casual photo editing without an external calibrator. However, it's still a 1080p panel, not a 4K or high refresh rate screen. If you're chasing ultra-smooth competitive advantage, you'll notice the 60Hz refresh rate compared to the 144Hz you get on dedicated gaming laptops. For most single-player or story-driven games, that difference is hardly a deal-breaker, but esports enthusiasts might feel the limitation. Now, let's address the price question. You're essentially buying a desktop-class workstation in a laptop form factor. The 64 GB RAM and 2 TB SSD alone push the cost into the upper mid-range territory. When you compare that to building a desktop with a comparable CPU, a dedicated GPU, and similar storage, the desktop will likely be cheaper and more upgradable. But the laptop gives you the flexibility to work from coffee shops, move between rooms, and keep the setup compact if you can live with the weight and the modest battery life. So, the value proposition hinges on whether you need that mobility. Who should buy this? If you're a content creator who also wants to unwind with a game, need a large screen for multitasking, and appreciate having a massive amount of RAM to keep everything running smooth, this is a solid pick. It also suits professionals.